Welcome to the Ride With Us podcast, presented by the American Coaster Enthusiasts, the world's largest ride enthusiast organization dedicated to the appreciation, promotion, and preservation of roller coasters around the globe. So please keep your hands and feet inside the podcast at all times as we welcome in your host.
Hello, enthusiasts. It's your host, Jessica Gardner. February is Black History Month, and we here at the Ace Ride With Us podcast wanted to celebrate with an episode dedicated to our Black enthusiast community. Ace podcast correspondent Gerik Gooch, who I found out from listening to this episode actually is credited for coining the term the Blusiasts, put together an incredible roundtable of guests. So Gooch, take it from here.
Today, Ace wants to celebrate diversity. And what better time than Black History Month to celebrate our Black coaster enthusiasts, or as we like to call them, Blusiasts. Today, I've got 4 incredible Blusiasts here with me. And of course, it wouldn't be a Blusiast conversation without the man who essentially founded this community. He is a well-known lover of intensity and airtime. So much so I've seen this man put on a headband and wristbands to go ride the Voyage trimless because he knows it's going to be a workout. But we've got Airtime Myke in the building. Airtime Myke, how you doing, brother?
Oh, I'm doing great. I think thanks for that intro, man. I really appreciate that. All hail the Voyage, the #1 coaster in the world.
And Mike, you are representing Virginia, correct? You were born and raised in Virginia?
Actually, no, I was actually born in Missouri. I'm actually originally from the South. And I actually spent some time actually in your parts in Georgia until I was about 4 or 5. My dad being in the military, we actually relocated to Virginia when I was the age of 5 or 6, and I've been here ever since. But yeah, I'm out here in Fredericksburg, Virginia, roughly about 30 minutes from my home park, which is Kings Dominion. And if you want to throw in a second home park, I've also got Busch Gardens Williamsburg, about an hour and a half away.
Awesome. All right. Well, another one of our guests. This young lady is what I like to think of as the spiritual captain of the Blusiasts. Always with a big smile on her face, always telling a joke, having a great time, and just loving on people and loving her passion and her excitement for coasters and parks. Representing the Chicagoland area, we got
Chicago.
Duwena Tillman. Duwena, welcome to the podcast.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
How are you doing?
So, yeah, I'm from the Chicagoland area. I live in the south suburbs. Been here since forever. I haven't moved anywhere else. I like living this way. I know people are like, oh, I'm visiting Chicago. I'm like, I don't live there.
You are always specific. You always tell people like you're from Chicago, right? It's Chicagoland.
It's Chicagoland. I'm about 45 minutes outside of the city. So I'm also a tourist of Chicago. So I like when people visit so I can be like, hey, let's go do this, and this.
And that's part of why I call you the spiritual captain, because I've seen so many people just say, hey, I want to go have fun doing this. And Duwena's like, when? Okay, yeah, I'll be there. I'll find a way. I'll be there. Don't you worry. So she's
like, don't you worry.
Don't you worry.
Do not worry. I will show up. Pending PTO. That's always my disclaimer. Pending PTO. Because I run through it so fast.
Our next guest is also a longtime enthusiast, been passionate about parks and coasters since he was a child. He was born and raised in the state of Michigan, but now lives in the theme park capital of the world, Orlando, Florida, and works for Universal. So he took his passion and love for parks and coasters and turned it into a career. So everyone, welcome to the podcast, James Mason. James, welcome.
Hello, everybody. So good to be on this podcast.
Oh, yeah. How are things down in Florida? You just started a new job, correct?
Yeah, I'm a ops space technician coordinator. I basically am the heart of Universal Orlando. So any phone call we get that deals with anything you can think of, it could be anything from a ride going down, or it can go from a picture falling from the wall. We just got to make the connection to the right technicians to go out there to fix it. And we deal with everything, and that includes City Walk and the new Epic Universe. So I already know of all the downtimes that Epic is currently getting, and and actually all the rides just got the okay about a week or two ago. So yeah, so everything's been testing pretty regularly. So it's been nice.
That's amazing. So James has to talk with 1 million people in the organization all the time. And
yes.
As soon as he gets off work, I ask him to come talk some more. So,
which is fine with me because I'm a talker, so it's good.
He's a talker.
I'm completely fine with it. Yeah.
And last but not least, our last guest here, we have the man who I like to call my own personal Black Captain America.
Aww.
Man who serves our country in the Air National Guard. He lives in Los Angeles, California. Also a longtime enthusiast. Has history in working in the parks, but like I said, now serves his country. And his name, ladies and gentlemen, is Alan Franklin. Alan, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. So I said it's always a pleasure talking to all you guys about coasters and amusement parks, and I just love it. So you might have to tell me to shut up.
Alan's ready. He's got his podcast set up. He's got all the gear behind him. We're looking at Captain America shields and stuff behind him.
I got coasters behind me too, and park skylines.
He's got some coasters and stuff. Yeah, what are those? Is that the nano coasters? The dynamics, right?
Yeah, Coaster Dynamics. So the cutouts and the skylines. So I have a Ghost Rider, VelociCoaster, Voyage X2, and Iron Gwazi behind me. So
nice, nice.
And
those are great.
So. Yeah, love it. You know, Myke, I'm gonna ask you. You've I didn't mention that, a lot of people know Myke well from his involvement as one of the coaster idiots on the very popular El Toro Ryan YouTube channel, as well as he is now one of the co-hosts of the Coaster Cousins podcast. Myke is often interviewing people, but I'm not sure I've heard myself Myke's coaster journey. So, Myke, I'd love to know when you first got into coasters, what sparked your interest and passion for them, and what's your coaster journey?
Yeah, it all started with early 90s, actually. I would say middle 90s, taking a trip to Busch Gardens Williamsburg. I didn't grow up with a family that liked roller coasters, that were passionate about it. As a matter of fact, my mother, father, and I have a younger sister as well. I have never ridden a roller coaster with any of them. Like ever.
Wow. None of your family members.
What?
No, they don't ride coasters at all. So we're visiting Busch Gardens Williamsburg, and we're headed to the Fest House, and they wanted to go watch a show at the Fest House. At the time, I'd been to King's Dominion. I had been on Grizzly and other rides also as well, like Grizzlies, and I was called Ruby all the time, which is Ace landmark, by the way. And so we go to Busch Gardens Williamsburg, and we go back to go ride. I just got off a Big Bad Wolf, and there's a blue coaster behind the Fest House where they're going to go watch a show. And they said to me, stay here. We'll be back. I didn't want to watch the show. I just wanted to ride the blue coaster, which was Drachen Fire. And so they said, don't leave. And so I literally sat on Drachen Fire for like 2 hours straight. And that kind of ignited my whole passion as far as ride roller coasters. And even to this day, Drachen Fire, in my opinion, is the best aero looper that it's ever been made. It was just a little bit ahead of its time.
When did that open, Myke? Was that 1993?
1992, right after Anaconda came out in 91, and that was Busch Gardens' answer to King's Dominion's aero looper. One of the I think to this day, I'm pretty sure that's the only time they've ever built the same coaster in like the same park. They both built aero loopers. Ever since then, they've never built the same ride type at either parks at all.
That's true.
That ignited.
It seems they try to keep them fresh in the Virginia Coaster Wars.
It's good for the
type when King's Dominion gets the other. Right.
Yeah, it's good for competition. It's also good for variety as well. So when you visit King's Dominion or you visit Busch Gardens Williamsburg, you're getting different ride experiences, and nothing is typically similar at all. But yeah, that's how it started. And ever since then, I love the feeling of it, and I've been going pretty enthusiastic since. I went there for prom. After prom, I went there for after prom. I went to Kingsman after prom. I've gone there after homecoming, college graduations, like any kind of major
college
event.
in Virginia as well. Right?
I did. Yeah, I attended Virginia Commonwealth University. So go Rams, VCU. And some of Duwena, I studied, got my degree in mechanical engineering. And like I said, so that passion has kind of always been there, deep rooted in me for a very long time. And I've loved it ever since. And just watching the growth. And I've been very fortunate and lucky to be part of an area where I've got King's Dominion and Busch Gardens Williamsburg in my backyard. And so the variety of manufacturers and ride types are very inclusive in the state.
Some of our ACE viewers out there or our ACE listeners probably got to ride Drachen Fire, and others may not even know what we're talking about, but that was an aero looper. Like Mike said, that opened in 1992 at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. I believe it only lasted, maybe 9 years at the park?
6 years, closed out in 1998, gave its last ride.
Wow.
So people didn't like the over-the-shoulder restraint. People, complained about head banging and, which is typical with aero loopers now. But it's very aggressive. It was a very aggressive roller coaster, and
it was ahead of its time.
Ahead of its time. I think had it been built now and people rode it now, they would probably appreciate it a whole lot more.
Yeah.
Or if it got those Vekoma trains on it, that I could only imagine with the vest.
With the vest restraints, yeah.
The vest restraints, they probably love it. But no, it had a full package, like a ejector airtime, a very the original drop was one of a kind. He kind of just went down and did kind of like a loop to kind of go around. I guess they couldn't get it around the lift hill, so they made it kind of unique and multiple inversions, a cutback element, helix. It had it all, it had corkscrews. It had it all, and it was a very good looking ride, and very, very much missed by me. I'm a huge Drachen Fire.
Did it have arrows like only Cobra roll too?
I believe so. It had a Cobra. Yeah,
wow,
only Cobra roll.
Yeah. That's why I thought it was so unique. They definitely did different elements on that than any other coaster. And the trains. Remember the trains were different?
The trains were different.
They had a rounded design. It looked kind of real sleek.
Yeah, they kind of got their box structure of like how they design a ride as well. So they had the more tubular foundations as far as like a structure. So it was different all the way around, and I loved it. To this day, it's still my favorite looper. It was very sad to see it go, but that was the coaster got me into the coaster community and love. And even when I got off after my parents were done watching the whatever show was going on at the Fest House at the time, I told them to go do something else, and I went back and I went right back on.
Wow. You're like, leave me here.
Yeah, I was like, I'm good.
Right.
Do what y'all want to do. Y'all want to go ride some more shows or eat some cotton candy? Sure, go right ahead. I'll be right here on Drachen Fire. Come get me when it's time to go.
I love that.
That's awesome. So I think my whole childhood, maybe I got one or two re-rides. I think maybe the first time I went to Magic Mountain, Allen, and rode Viper way back in the day. I think I was like, come on, please. I got to ride that a second time. But for the most part, that being able to just sit on a ride and keep coming back and enjoying it so many times, that never happened. So that's amazing that's what sparked your journey, Mike.
Marathon sessions are still, to this day, actually.
Mm-hmm. I think most of the arrows up to that point pretty much only had the teardrop vertical loops. They had the corkscrews. That was pretty much it. So yeah, this was the first time they played with some different style elements. I just remember looking at it like, whoa, that's different. What's that going to feel like?
Great. It's going to feel amazing. It's going to feel amazing. The coaster got too much hate, still gets too much hate to this day. And then I wish it should have still been around. It should have still been around. And
I believe, Mike, as we've discussed, that the Big Bad Wolf's, the Wolf's Revenge, is going in the old plot of Drachen Fire, isn't it correct? The new coaster that's opening this year?
Wolf's Revenge is going in the same location as where Drachen Fire used to be located.
Yeah.
That is correct. And that's going to be opening this year for their 50th anniversary of Busch Gardens Williamsburg. And I'll be in attendance for that as well. So it's James, I can tell you right now, as far as the best aero suspended coaster, I'd say that title probably with the Big Bad Wolf. It was very unique. It was a train. It
just looked like
terrain coaster. It was very unique in elements and family coaster, but super aggressive.
The theming too. Don't forget about the theming.
Theming was off the charts. It was a really good ride. The Aero was really in their bag during that time at that park. Mm-hmm. Like all the Aero coasters at Busch Gardens Williamsburg were fabulous. They were really in their bag at that park.
Yeah. Now I gotta say it's Ninja at Six Flags Magic Mountain is like pretty top tier. At least to me.
That was a close second to it in the back for me as well. Of course, later on, I got to ride Vortex at Canada's Wonderland, which I think
that's a beast.
The best remaining of the suspended coasters.
That's the last one that I need, Vortex.
It's good.
No.
Yeah, I'll get there as soon as Alpine Fury opens.
Yeah. Yep, that's right.
Might be the best career coaster out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Do they have another one?
That's what it looks like.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
I've been saying to people, think Icebreaker. If you've ridden Icebreaker at SeaWorld Orlando. Icebreaker had very strong airtime, was very smooth, great transitions. It was more impressive to all of us when I went with my GP Coasters gang, right when that opened. And we were all more impressed than we thought it was going to be for a small, short layout and a shuttle. So now you're getting, nearly 4,000 feet of track running through the mountain, which is the centerpiece of Canada's Wonderland, and 7 inversions and different elements going through the trees and forests. It looks like it could be really good.
It looks really nice.
It should be amazing, right? Canada's Wonderland really needed something like that, and I'm glad they got it. That's really going to really balance a lot of something different than just having a B&M model.
Yes.
So I think the people in that area are really going to like that. Plus, they get a launch as well, so they're really going to like that.
Absolutely. So, James, you started talking about your younger days of going to the park. Why don't you tell me what was your inception with coasters? What sparked your interest and passion?
Well, for me personally, it was because of my parents. I credit them for everything because I think it's in my blood. My parents, their home parks were Boblo Island and Cedar Point. And a lot of their dates that they used to go on to started at Boblo Island and they would go and drive down to Cedar Point. Actually, they wouldn't even drive because they used to have a ferry that would take you from Detroit all the way to Cedar Point. And then it was like a walking distance, and then they don't have that anymore. I wish they did. That'd be great. But yeah, that it all started from them. And even with their honeymoon, they went to Epcot when Epcot was brand new because it opened in 1982. That was their honeymoon. So they kind of bred it into me, and I'm very appreciative of that. But I remember we used to go to Cedar Point all the time, and I always wanted to do the big rides. And my parents would always have me go with my cousins because they were always, encouraged me to do the big stuff, but I was always too short. I was too short to ride everything. And then when finally, because my goal was to do Magnum XL-200, and I was finally tall enough to do it, and we waited in that long line to do it. Because Magnum, I think people seem to forget Magnum used to be the baddie of the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
People have forgotten how amazing Magnum is and still was, So I really wish people could still see that. But I remember getting on Magnum and just enjoying it so much. And I wanted to rewrite it over and over again, but that line was just ridiculous at that time. So, but Magnum really kind of started it off for me.
First hypercoaster in the world.
Yeah, it started it off for me, but I would say Corkscrew was another one, and Gemini. Those two really put it out there for me because, they were all completely different from each other, but it just fueled that enthusiast in me at a young age. And so, but I really appreciate it.
In the Detroit area? Is that right?
Yeah, I was in the Detroit area. I'm about 40 minutes north of Detroit.
Okay.
A lot of people don't really call it that, but I am from Detroit. I was born in 8 Mile and like the Ryan DeQuinder area. So I don't know Eminem personally, but I know where he grew up. And I know where he currently lives now.
Spaghetti.
But yeah, and then we moved to this area called Rochester, Michigan. And I lived there pretty much my whole life until I moved down here to Florida almost 8 years ago now. So we've been down here ever since. But yeah, that was my first experience that I can remember really well, because Cedar Point was only a 2.5 hour drive. So we would just go every year, and we would just have the best time. We would go multiple times every year. And this was like pre-season passes. I don't even think they had season passes at that time. We would just go all the time, every summer.
That's awesome. I know you and I talked about holding that in common, that our parents had gone to Boblo Island, because my parents both born and raised in North Carolina, but they both went and got their graduate degrees in Michigan. So they lived in Michigan for years before I was born. And so, yeah, I heard those stories as a kid. They're like, oh, there used to be this park, Boblo Island. And I just looked it up. That park was open from 1898 until 1993. When it finally closed. But yeah, same thing. My parents used to go there and have dates and fun times. I think my older brother got to go as a very small child with them. But I never got to see that park. So
yeah, they used to have river cruises. And they would go into Detroit Princess, and they would just have parties. Like DJs would be on these cruises, and you could just go to Boblo and just have like the best time. And, my parents, it sounded like they had like the best time dating, because they just did everything. So it's really cool that I have that genetic in me. So yeah. And the coasters really just kind of fuel that for me. So awesome. I think I'm in a good area.
Right. The best.
And shout out to your parents. I haven't gotten to meet them yet, but I know that you just recently moved them to Florida. So now they have followed you down, and they're in coaster land, amusement land as well. So.
And they still go to the theme parks all the time. They actually, just 2 days ago, they just came back from studios. So HoliWood Studios. And they do all the rides there too. They have such a good time together. So that's goals right there, to have two parents that still do just about all the rides.
That's amazing. And I'm glad you're appreciative of that. I think sometimes about how much my parents took me to parks when I was young, and how they can't, even if they want to, ride stuff anymore. I can just picture her asking my dad now, Dad, you want to go to a roller coaster? He'd probably look at him and you want me to get on that thing?
Shoot, my dad did Steel Vengeance, and that was like his favorite ride. I couldn't believe it. He'll be 70 this year.
Wow. Love it. You're right. That's goals. That's what we
all. So I want to be like that.
That part.
I want to be like that. Yeah.
Absolutely. ACE has a long legacy of, being the oldest coaster enthusiast organization in the world. Started in 1978. Have a lot of older members. One of my very first friends in ACE was Ed Vincent McInerney. May he rest in peace. And when I met him, he was like 68, 69. He was like, that's right. I'm still doing this. I ride everything, and I love it. And that's the same thing. I heard that. I was like, that's how I want to be too, man. I love it.
Yeah, that's my kind of man right there. I want to be able to just keep going until my body physically is not able to get back on anymore. There's just something about, I think, and maybe James can probably speak on this as well too, about his parents, but there's something about that adrenaline rush that kind of keeps them even more eager and even more sustained. I'll have to look at some research and kind of see if that even can extend life, potentially, just having that opportunity to kind of get on rides and fulfill. They say happiness is the pathway to long life. And so when you look at that, your parents, same thing for you too, Gooch, and everybody else who might have parents who are lucky enough to have parents that want to ride coasters with them. I can't even get my parents to walk at a park. I love hearing this. I love hearing this. So that's amazing. But 70 to get on Steel Vengeance, yeah, this man's my hero.
Yeah,
I love it.
Awesome.
And he didn't do it just one time either. It was like multiple times. I still can't believe he did it. Yeah, my mom did Fury 321, 325 back, what was it, a year or two ago? And that was her first time doing that. And she was 67 at the time. And I made sure to take a picture of that. She was scared to death, but we did the front row and she did that. I was so proud of her.
Mom showed up. Mom just showed up. She showed up and showed out.
Sure did. Sure did.
That's right.
I love that.
Duwena, how about you? Tell me about what sparked your interest and passion for coasters. What's your journey like?
Well, I do remember my very first roller coaster. The company that my father used to work for, they used to do events at my home park, which is Six Flags Great America. Mm-hmm. So basically, we used to be there all the time. Like he'll bring as many family members that wanted to come to the company's event, free food, ride. They shut down the park for everybody, So we just had free reign of the park all the time. When I was finally tall enough to ride a ride, like most of the big rides was already there, like Batman, everything was already open for years prior to me even being able to ride my first roller coaster. But he took me on my first roller coaster, which was American Eagle. And when I say that first dropped, kicked my butt, okay, I will never forget it. I mean, most people know American Eagle now. Sometimes it's a little rough, but, it still is a classic as far as wooden roller coasters are concerned. Back then, both sides were running. So my dad would get on both sides with me. Like, I was surprised, to be honest. Like, oh, you're going to get on the rides with me? What? My mom, absolutely not. You couldn't make this lady get on a ride that wasn't like a carousel. Okay. Oh, I got you, baby. We're going to get on the carousel. You could barely get her on a Ferris wheel. Okay. But definitely my dad, he was like, yeah, I'll ride whatever ride you want to ride. So American Eagle was my very first one. When I got a little bit taller, I think at the time I had to wait a little bit to get on Batman and finally rode that. And I was like, oh, I love inverts. That's when I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. Now, I won't say that this was the beginning of me being a roller coaster enthusiast, though. I don't even believe that I'm a roller coaster enthusiast, to be honest. All of this was awakened from basically meeting most of you guys along the way of me just enjoying theme parks. Mm-hmm. I love theme parks. After my first visit to Disney and doing Disney, I was like, oh, I love this atmosphere. I want to be here all the time. It wasn't nothing about the characters or anything. I just loved what was offered at those types of parks and what I was getting, the sights, the sounds, the smells, food, the people.
The immersion.
So, yeah, it was just everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, this is beautiful. I was like, I want to do this. I want to be here all the time. And so all our family vacations started to be to amusement parks and going to Cedar Point. I remember those all the time. I remember him taking me to ride Top Thrill Dragster, as a matter of fact, and Millennium Force. Mm-hmm. Oh boy, Millie. I can't believe that ride still kicks butt right now. Like, it's just crazy to think about. I'm still terrified of that ride, actually, because like I said, I am not a coaster enthusiast. I am. I'm like, oh no.
We'll let you have the title. You're like a junior coaster enthusiast.
Yes, I'm a family coaster girl. I am a family coaster girl at heart. Like, I'll get on the rides. I like to say it. But like I said, being introduced to everybody has made me appreciate roller coasters even more. By far. I just enjoy it a lot more now.
Yeah.
But yeah, due to my family and just basically my dad is what made me be like, okay, I can ride these rides. It's not so scary. It's not that bad. Yeah, that's pretty much what started me on the path. And since then, you couldn't stop me from traveling somewhere to be in a theme park.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Shout out to all the dads and the moms who help the kids get over that fear, help them get over that hump and try new things and get on these thrills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at what we've become now. You know?
Yeah.
True.
Good job, man. I'm proud of y'all, man. That's great.
Yeah.
Man, I'm proud of me.
No, and I think that might be a misconception, Duwena, that a lot of people might think, coaster enthusiast only loves coasters. It's not about the other things. But no, you find plenty of people in this community who are just like you, who are like, no, I really love coasters, but I'd love a lot more than that. I love the whole park experience. I love the food, the theming, the stories, the environments, the shows, that whole immersion, like I said. So
yes. And just everything that goes into making a park run as a whole, as a running like atmosphere, because I feel like it's secluded from the rest of the world. Whatever's in that park, you're in your own atmosphere. They just be like, here, explore, enjoy us. I'm like, what? I'm like, I love this.
That's the beauty of theme parks. Yeah, that is the beauty that takes you out of the realm of reality and puts you into a different headspace. And that's the importance of them. I love the fact that I can go to a theme park and scream my head off and not get arrested for it. And no one's going to think I'm crazy for it. No, I'm having a good time. It's your one place where you can congregate with people and just have a good time. Just good, plain old fun. That's what I love about it.
Exactly. Same. Exactly the same.
Our listeners can't see it, but Duwena is currently wearing a Super Nintendo World Universal Studios Japan shirt. Speaking of being in immersive worlds, because she just got back from Japan. Like I said, this woman's an avid traveler. She's like, hey, let's go. So,
I'm always ready. Me and my partner, we were talking about like, what did I want to do for my birthday? And at first we were going to just do Disneyland because they were hosting a sweetheart event or something like that. And just go back to Hollywood Studios. I mean, not Hollywood Studios, but Hollywood Universal and see what they had going on. And then he was like, hey, have you looked at anything else? And I was like where? What do you want to do? He was like, name something different. And I was like, oh, let's go to Australia. So now I'm just like, if you tell me to name something, I'm going to do something far-fetched easily. We looked it up and it was summer in Australia, but there was a visa that would be needed. So I was just like, how much time do we have to make sure we get this, find lodging, so on and so forth to make this happen? And it wasn't looking good. And then all of a sudden we kept getting all these ads for Japan. I'm talking about back to back to back to back. And I'm like, well, if you're telling me to go, just say that. And so after looking it up, it was very feasible due to our dollar to yen. And I was like, oh, send it. Let's go. I'm ready. Let's do this. Mind you, this is probably the longest flight I ever took. I'm still scared of flying. I've always been. But in order to get places, you have to get on a plane. So
did you fly direct from Chicago?
Yes, I got very lucky with that because the original flight we had booked was going to put us in San Fran and then over to
Tokyo.
Haneda Airport. Yeah, to Tokyo. I'm a little sad that I didn't get to experience more of the culture in Japan while there because I was so heavily focused on just knocking out these theme parks and then just planning another trip to do more sightseeing since it was such a short trip and we had limited time. But with the time that I did spend, it was worth every single moment. I cannot stress this enough. If you have the funds, the opportunity to go to Japan, please do so. You will not regret that trip at all. Theme parks are my happy place, but I also love that country. I will be back. Let me work and get some more PTO, and I will definitely be back.
All right, Alan.
Oh, I thought we forgot about me.
Master Sergeant. Never forget about Master Sergeant Franklin.
Man.
Tell me, man. Yeah, what sparked your interest and passion for coasters?
My parents, Southern California. So over the summers, they were summer camp directors. So I got to do all the theme parks out in SoCal, like every year. And then, of course, a lot of my family's from Texas and other states too. So we'd go out to visit them and we'd go to their theme park. So I rode a lot of my early coasters with my mom, and she was more, I could say there wasn't really a choice. She was like, you're going on these like with her. So I got to ride Desperado and everything. I was in Vegas, rode everything in Texas. So I rode Rattler over at Fiesta, Texas. I didn't get to make it down to Astro World though. So we were sad about that one. I'll probably say the first coaster that kind of gave me like a cause for pause was actually Viper at Six Flags Magic Mountain. And it was one of the things because it was actually like my first ride, I would say, that I rode without my mom too. And like, I don't want to go on it. So I was like, yeah, it's 188 feet, but like when you're like 6 or 7, it might as well be 400 feet. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not riding that. And then, so my mom literally paid me to ride Viper.
You had to be bribed? What?
I was like 6 or 7. And I was like, so, and to put it into context, my first ride was Space Mountain. And I rode everything at that. So I remember Viper came out in 1990. So there's really nothing else like that, on the West Coast or even in Central like that too. So it was just the first thing I saw. So, and I've ridden other rides. So I rode Revolution. I think I even rode Boomerang. I rode a Boomerang as well too. But the problem is, like Viper's like twice the size of a Boomerang.
Yes.
And I rode Montezuma's everything. So there was just nothing quite like Viper. And I'm like, yeah, no. So my mom, she bribed me to go ride it. So I had $40, been said back in the 90s, $40 is a lot of money. So I had $40.
You're rich.
Yeah.
Hold on. She paid you $40 to get on a Viper?
Yeah.
That's more than what park admission probably costs.
I know. I know it is highway robbery now. Yeah. I'm like, I made out like a bandit.
Sure did.
Look, he was rich all day. He's like, y'all want something from the concessions? Y'all hungry?
Right. But yeah. So, but then I remember after that, like you couldn't get me off a Viper because I rode Viper. I'm like, I could do anything. And then, so I remember after that, the campers went home, and then usually for Magic Mountain and for Disneyland, what happened is that after all the campers go home, they let the counselors stay and do stuff. And since my mom was a director, I got to stay, and then I just stayed on Viper. I was like, yeah, this is what I'm riding. So like to this day, I still ride coasters with both my parents as well too. We just got in November, we were in Orlando. So this is the second year that we've done Orlando. We did everything in the Disney parks. And then this year I took my mom on VelociCoaster and my mom and dad on VelociCoaster. And we went over and we rode Iron Gwazi as well too. So I think it was their first time to Busch Gardens Tampa, and then their first time back to Universal in quite a long time. So, and they were both, listen, my dad loved Hagrid's. He's like, oh, it's my ride. And then we rode a VelociCoaster, and they both just loved it as well too.
And I think you told me your mom loved Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh yeah, but yeah, that was 2 years ago. She still loves it. I think that's like her favorite ride in Florida. Besides, until we rode Gwazi.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, she was all about Guardians, everything too. And then we rode Gwazi, and she was like, "What in the tarnation was that?"
All right.
So and then it was funny because I think my uncle. So my uncle, he's not like a roller coaster guy. Like I know he's riding them, so he's pushing his comfort zone. I was like, I want to ride roller coasters. And so it was funny because I think, and I warned him about the Incredible Hulk, because I said, this is the most intense ride in this park. And I say probably in Orlando. Mm-hmm. But he saw VelociCoaster. He's like, oh, if I could ride that, I could ride this. And then he rode Hulk, and he was about as green as a track. he enjoyed it, but he was done for the day. But then after that, he rode VelociCoaster, and he's like, you were right. And then he rode Gwazi and said Gwazi tried to kill him.
Mm-hmm. As it does.
Yes. So, but it was a good time. But after growing up and doing all the parks and pretty much Texas and California. I kind of joined the military, so then I was active, and I got to go do some coasters like overseas. So I've done Universal Beijing. I went to the Gold Coast. I didn't get to ride any rides out there too. Went to UAE and everything. So I got some overseas coasters, which was really, really cool. And it wasn't theme parks. They weren't really because of my schedule and everything too. And they weren't really like the dominant part of my life. But if I saw them, I'm like, oh, hey, I want to go ride this or this is cool. So if it was in the area and I had time. And then when I came back to California, probably about 2019. So when I went from active duty military to the Guard, I said, oh, hey, I wanted to go to Fright Fest at Six Flags. And then I found out it was cheaper just to get a pass. So then I got a pass, and then I remembered I was like, oh yeah, there's a Six Flags like up in Northern California. So I went up there and I started kind of doing day trips with my job or just for the weekend. So I went out to Lagoon for a weekend and everything, and so I was doing stuff like that just to go see some, go on some rides at some parks, which was really, really awesome. And now I'm trying to beat my mom, because my mom, she still does that too for work. So she travels somewhere for work because she's a teacher. And when they go on the school trips and everything, she'll ask me. So I know that she did the academic decathlon, and it was in Pittsburgh. So then she was asking me about Kennywood and everything too. So then she was showing me rides. Like, so we send each other pictures like, oh, I'm over here too. So I'm actually really upset because she's living her best life in Europe. So she has more overseas coasters than me. And she just rode Olympia Lupin.
Wow.
And I was really, really mad, and I didn't talk to her for a week.
Wow.
So, yeah, she sent that. She's like, and sometimes I think she does it on purpose. And she said, no, she'll send me. She's like, I didn't know, like I didn't know about this ride and its value and everything, but it reminds me of Revolution. And I'm like, shut up. Because she'll say stuff like that too. But yes, and she went to Portaventura last year too. Then was showing me things like, oh, and she does it. She's like, this ride reminds me of Scream. And I'm like, oh, but it's like, I have no idea. And then she's like, why are you mad? Like, I don't get it. So, but that's like her joke. She'll say any ride she rides overseas. Oh, she's like, we'll have this ride at home. So kind of Mike and Gooch knew it when we went to Great Adventure. I was calling Medusa. I was calling it Green Scream. So yeah, so my mom, she was calling that. She's like, this is Red Hulk, and she like that too. So she was saying like different rides, like she was writing too. So she's like, oh, it's the same. Like that. She's like, it's the same exact ride we have at home, but it's this. I'm like, but it's better.
Yeah, that's awesome. See, she recognizes the ride types in her own way. Yeah, you're like, Olympia Looping, that's a Schwarzkopf, like Revolution, Mom. Yes, you're right. No,
she just does it on purpose though, because she knows what she's writing. She's like, oh, but she'll just say it like it's like a different color and stuff like that too.
Right.
So, and then she actually messed up because when we rode Montu, she was like, oh, this is blue bat. Oh wait, our Batman's blue. She was like, I'm like, I got you.
I like that.
So you mentioned, Alan, your work in the service with the Air National Guard. I just wanted to bring that up. And the reason why I call you Black Captain America, because you really were out here helping families, saving lives these past few weeks. Alan, you've been dealing with the California wildfires. Would you just tell us a little bit about your work with that?
So you can look this up all on Google, if you want to, Wikipedia. So, I'm up in Channel Islands. It's the 146 Airlift Wing. We deal with modular airborne firefighting systems. To put it in super layman's terms, we just put a really, really big fire extinguisher on the back of a plane. And pretty much it holds about 3,000 gallons of either fire retardant, which helps help the fire spread. So it kind of makes a perimeter around it, or water. So we have a bunch of planes that do that. And then we're also a tanker base as well. So we host other bases that have the planes that are built for that. So they'll land with us, they'll fill up and they'll take off. So I said in January, it was pretty busy for us because usually that's not fire season at all. So we were shut down getting ready for next year. And then it started early. So it was a mad scramble And I said, I'm very, very appreciative of everyone that was involved in that, because it's not a one person job. It's not even like a one base job. Multiple states. So like Nevada helped, Wyoming helped, Colorado, they helped, they sent planes out. So I met a bunch of wonderful people that they kind of harder for them as well, too, because they literally left everything behind. Birthdays, things with family, because they thought their family was supposed to be here, canceled vacations, and said, hey, we're going to help out. So I'm really, really appreciative to everyone who was involved with that one as well, too. And not only the military part, but Cal Fire and everything. So I was like a liaison for them in the past, and working with a lot of them as well, too. So there was a lot of craziness, and it seemed like when one fire went down, two more appeared. So I know everyone knows about the big fires, but there was a lot of smaller fires that were breaking out places as well, too.
Yeah. And like I said, I know you guys, what a tragic fire, and the incredible amount of destruction is just incredible. I had some friends lose their homes, but also had some friends whose homes were saved. And like I said, I thank you for that.
Thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for you guys' support. Actually, it does mean a lot. And it's, it's I don't do it for the accolades or the thanks, but it is appreciated.
We really appreciate you keeping these parks alive out there in California, like you mentioned, so that we can continue to go on. But no, like saving lives is a big deal, so, going out there and really saving people's lives and the impact that you put on families and relatives and the area and the surrounding people, and just giving them hope. That's incredible.
Absolutely.
Most definitely.
Yes.
So, Duwena, you kind of mentioned earlier just that you weren't even sure if you should call yourself an enthusiast. Well, I'm curious, when did you all find out what an enthusiast was? And when did you start considering yourself an enthusiast?
So for me, during the pandemic, to be completely honest. Now, I've done a few parks prior to the pandemic, but mostly like I said, we used to do family vacations a lot with Disney World, and then just Cedar Point, and then my home park of Great America. Other than that, I really wasn't doing too many parks other than those three. And I don't even understand why we never went to Kings Island, but that's neither here nor there. But we never
Cedar
went
Point
there.
Love is strong. Listen, James
James
grew up in Michigan. James, did you guys go to Michigan's Adventure a lot?
No.
Really? I just
Still never
went.
been.
I like Michigan's Adventure.
Yeah, I've been there, finally. But that's only because, like I said, during the pandemic, that's when I learned what an enthusiast was. And I was like, through YouTube and just watching different videos. And me and my partner, who I'm dating now, basically, I didn't know he liked roller coasters. I'm like, hey, could you check out this video with me? Like, I'm really interested in doing this when things like open back up in the world. He was like, wait, you like theme parks? You like roller coasters? And I'm like, whoa. I didn't say roller coasters, but I do like theme parks. I was like, I'm not too sure if I'm really about that roller coaster life, but we can see what's to it. And we were just watching endless hours of YouTube videos. And as everything was opening back up, a lot of the parks had a whole bunch of different deals on season passes.
Yeah.
And when I say we bought them all,
Infinity Gauntlet.
like literally, we bought all of them, every single one. When everything was pretty much unrestricted and opened up, we hit 18 parks in a year. Like, we just went off the meter and hit 18 parks. So all my credits in reality came from that 1 year. Everything else is like minimum here and there, but it was just insane. I think every other 2 or 3 weeks we're at a park somewhere doing something. But I did miss a lot of credits because I am a plus size rider. So I'm not mad about that. It helped me get back into like my fitness because I gained a ton of weight during the pandemic because I like snacks. Who doesn't like a good snack,
Right. Snackies.
Right. Feed me snacks. So now that I'm back into my fitness thing, or attempting to, I I will double back to the park that I missed a couple of credits for. You guys actually witnessed, anybody that was at the rodeo, when I finally got back on an RMC and had like a moment during Iron Rattler. And he's like, oh, like, everybody's like, they're Gerstlauer trains. You'll be okay. Like, just come on. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, no, I don't want to. Everybody call it the walk of shame, but I don't call it that. And you'll see some merch soon. I call it the walk of safety. So, like, there should be no harm. You shouldn't feel ashamed if you cannot fit on a ride. But when I tell you, when that lady was like, no, you're all good, and pushed that restraint down for Iron Rattler, you would have thought it was Christmas morning. I said, what? I get to ride? I said, okay, this is a great day.
Now I'm gonna tell this story because look, I just met Duwena last year during HoliWood Nights. I'll come back to that. But so the rodeo, as she's talking about, was just about a month later. So I didn't know Duwena well, but I already just loved her. Okay, from my first meeting with her.
Thank you.
And I was right there when that happened, Duwena. So I was just gotten off of my ride of Iron Rattler. I'm walking off the platform. I was getting my phone out of the thing. I start walking past Duwena and I see her crying. I mean, she's sobbing, copious tears. I was like, who did something to you, Duwena?
He really did. He was like, are you okay?
Are you okay? Did somebody do something to you? What? And you were like, no, these are tears of joy. I just rode an RMC. I was like, oh, that's beautiful. See what I mean? Like the passion just showed up. Like you were really crying and just so happy that
I was
got to ride.
Ecstatic.
Yeah.
Ecstatic. And everybody was like, okay, girl, you got this. I mean, everyone was so supportive of that moment that I had. And it just felt so good. I was like, everything was perfect that day. Absolutely perfect.
Yeah. My dad just started redid his fitness journey. Because like I said, because we went to Florida, so he wasn't able to ride Tron in the bike seat. Okay. And I think, and so for him, that was a wake up call. And he's like, oh, so he got really like, I need to do this, and this. And then, so this year he went and he's like, so we went again. And that's part of the reason why we did Universal as well. So it's like, oh, you're able to fit into these more extreme rides. But he said it was like, he was so happy that he had to ride the bike seat. And we got front row. He was excited on that one. He said he rode Guardians and he was a lot more comfortable. So I definitely, yeah.
Yes.
I was there for his moment as well too. And then after that, he went to the test seat. He's like, quick, take a picture. He was all, you thought he was like 8-year-old. Caleb trying to take pictures. He's like, excuse me. I was like, so it's my turn for a picture now.
I need my test seat photo.
Right. I love that.
Yes.
Just hearing other people's stories, attempting, loving to be in the theme park and seeing these rides and having like their heart kind of shattered due to them not being able to fit or whatever the case may be, but also that activating them to move a little bit more, change a couple of things so they are able to enjoy these rides, because the rides are set up like that just for safety. You shouldn't be mad at these companies for making these rides safe. You should be more appreciative, knowing that they took into consideration that this restraint is made to keep you in there, to make sure you can enjoy the ride and get back to the station safely.
My other story about you, Duwena. So when we first met, I met Duwena at HoliWood Nights last year. I saw her face looked familiar. I had seen you before on social media, and I walked over, and before I could say anything, you were like, "Hi, I'm Duwena." Hi, I'm Duwena. It was like so excited, the smile, the energy right away. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm Gooch. Nice to meet you, And she immediately hands me a bracelet. So Duwena had made custom bracelets to commemorate the event that had HWN 2023, Gravy Games on it. And I was like, for such a small gesture, I thought it was the coolest thing I'd seen. I was
thank you.
Yeah, I was like, wow. Too. We appreciate that. That was really nice. I got one of those.
Those were a hot commodity. Do you know I didn't get one?
What? See, that's how selfless she is, folks. She gave them out to everyone and then realized, wait, I didn't even keep one for myself.
I gave the last one off of my arm. And I thought, I thought I had like maybe one more in the car.
Oh, yeah. Keep that.
And then she had him for the rodeo too.
I did.
Yeah. And then, my son still has this.
Nice. I love that. I love that.
Yeah. Like he was wearing it at school and people were asking about it. So he was telling them all about the rodeo and stuff. See,
and that right there is what I love. The only reason why I bought these wristbands, first of all, I wasn't even aware that they were going to be a hit like that at HoliWood Nights. I only brought them over because I'm originally always a festival girly. I used to be at festivals a lot. So every time we would meet up
music
together,
festival culture,
yes,
right? Yes.
Music festival culture. I've done EDC, I've done some holy ships, mad decent boat parties. There's so many festivals I've been to over the years. It's crazy. But things like that, the little goodies, I was like, let me see if this coaster community would be accepting of this. And I was told, HoliWood Nights was like where everybody meets up. I was lucky to get these tickets. I was real excited. I'm like, I'm going to just make a couple just in case. And the way I was like, people were looking for me. I said, huh? I said, do I know you, sir? Hold on, wait. Hi.
You were surprised later in the day, about 3 hours after we met, when I walked past you in the park and I was like, hey, Duwena. And you were like, that's me, Duwena. Yes. That's like, dang, he remembers my name. Okay, wow.
Yeah, I love that because usually I just be in my little bubble. I just be excited usually when I'm, like I said, being in a park is truly my happy place. It could do no wrong. I really do not care what's going on. I'd be like, yes. I'm already happy. No one could take it away from me. But yeah, that's why I made so many for rodeo. And I still have a lot from rodeo left over because that event, I cannot speak more highly of that event that they put on there and suggest if you're able to do that, definitely do it. I still have wristbands left from that. But the very cool moment of riding Iron Rattler and going through the tunnel, I guess I had some of them were glow in the dark wristbands. And you just see rows, because I had like a back seat, rows of glowing arms. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool. I was like, who made those? And my guy looks over at me. He was like, are you okay? he was like, you made those. And I was like, they glow in the dark? So no idea, had no clue. So that was pretty awesome. That is definitely a core memory for me at this point. So not only did I get to ride the ride that I was crying about, I got to see that in the tunnel. So it was just a beautiful full circle moment for myself.
Well, I know that, yes, the many people who ended up with the bracelets you made were just extremely appreciative. Like I said, it may just seem like a small gesture, but it's one that's really appreciated. In late August this past year, I was at Kings Island and met up with some friends, and we were going to get on Invertigo. And I looked down and I noticed my friend Allison wearing one of your bracelets. And I was like, yo, and I had mine on too. And I was like, yo, look at, she's like, oh yeah, you met Duwena at HoliWood Nights. Isn't that great? Isn't that amazing?
Yes. I also met somebody during Ka. And she was like,
last rides on Ka?
Last rides. That I had to do a full send after seeing everybody saying, hey, it might be leaving. I was like, you know what? Gotta make it happen. And went there, and I do not regret making that trip at all. Yeah, thank you, Mike, because you were the one that sounded the alarm, and I took heed. I said, I'm leaving as soon as possible. I made PTO happen for that. I said, hey.
Mandatory PTO.
Yes, I made it.
I did the same thing. I told my commander, I was like, so I'm taking leave on these days. I'll be back on this day. They're like, oh, for what? I'm like, this roller coaster might be closing. And I happened to find out about it. So I'm going to go. And they were like, all right, then.
I love
that. No, but she did ask, like, what makes this roller coaster so special? I'm like, it's the tallest, fastest operating coaster in the world right now. And they're like, okay. And she's like, tell me about it.
I love that. I never even thought I would end up at that park, to be completely honest. I watched it on the roller coaster countdown, and I was like, one day I'm going to ride it. Yeah. And I was like, I'm probably not going to ride it. I'm going to get there and look at it and be like, no, thank you. Even seeing it in person, man, that ride was beautiful. The King. Okay. Long live the King.
Mm-hmm. Long live the King. Shout out to Kingda Ka. So Duwena, I am officially going to call you an enthusiast, whether or not you want to, because you are an ACE member. You are a member of American Coaster Enthusiasts.
This is true.
You told me recently. Have you been to any ACE events yet? I know we mentioned HoliWood Nights, which being an ACE member gives you access to some park sponsored events like HoliWood Nights. Have you been to any of the ACE regional or national events yet?
I have been to 2 ACE events.
Okay.
I think I can't remember in which order this went. However, they did an event at Lost Island out there in Iowa, which was beautifully done. I think that was the first year of Lost Island being fully open and operational. And that park is beautiful. They did a fantastic job with that and their theming.
Yeah, they did.
Once again, I love a good theme. Mm-hmm. And so it just immersed you into their land. They even had a language book. Okay. Mm-hmm. Where would you get that from? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, I thought that was awesome. I was saying words at work and they're like, what is that? And I'm like, oh, it's just, Lost Island speak. You got to visit. They're like, in the Caribbean? I said, oh, no.
They're into it. We were so impressed. I went with some friends to Ace's Preservation Con at Lost Island this past summer, and we were impressed to see the number of actors who were in special makeup and costumes wandering through the park. Mm-hmm. And their incredible dark ride.
Yes, Volcano.
Oh, it's amazing.
Volcano. And then the only other event that I've been to is when they did Stricker's Grove. I got to do that with them. Yes. So that is a very cute family-owned park. The food was amazing. Everybody there was great. A lot of classics. What was the ride that had the little pop of airtime that surprised me? I can't think of the name right now, and it's going to drive me crazy. I know one of them. Was Teddy Bear, and the other one was called
Tornado.
Was it? Is
Tornado.
it?
Yes. Teddy Bear was the small Woody, and Tornado is the big one, which has an incredible pop of airtime.
And you're like, what is that?
I was like, what? These are some fun wooden coasters. As you know, I'm sure while you went to that event, that park is only open like 4 or 5 days every year. It doesn't have a regular operating schedule. And so one of those days that they're open is for their ACE event. That region has that yearly. So I went to that event as well. That's how I experienced that park the first time. And it's really charming. And we got 2 very rare Woodies out of that, Two.
I'm here for it. But those are the 2 events that I've been to with ACE. And I absolutely enjoy being a part of the ACE roller coaster club, everything that they have going on. And this is just going to be my ongoing theme about my PCO. If I had more, I would really attend all of their events because, I'm never afraid to be like, all right, I'm coming. Right. So, but I should be at the spring conference. Isn't that what it is? Yes.
Yes.
The spring conference in May.
In Virginia, in Mike's home turf.
Yeah, so I'll be there for that.
May 16th through the 18th. Friday and Saturday, May 16th, 17th at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, and Sunday, the 18th at King's Dominion. I will be there as well. I know, Mike, you had to work, but you'll be there for one of the days that you.
I'll be there for the Sunday. I'll be there for Sunday at King's Dominion.
At King's Dominion, right?
Perfect.
Yeah, that's going to be a great time, and we will get to see new coasters at both of those parks. The Wolf's Revenge at BGW and Rapterra at King's Dominion, which looks pretty
exciting. Yes. So excited about that one.
Yeah, absolutely. James, what about you? How long have you been an enthusiast? And when did you first hear about and join ACE?
Believe it or not, it was when I found out about ACE, but I was a kid then. So I was probably about 13, 14 years old. And but I knew I wasn't old enough to join any organization at that time. So I remember paying for a registration once I had my own money to do it, but I was too afraid to go out and do any events because I was still a young kid. So I think I was like 18 or 19 when I paid for it, and I just never did anything with it. And it wasn't until I got much older, to when I did an event where Ace was there, and I hung out with some people that was involved with Ace, but I never joined it until just recently. And I did the one event that I did with you guys was with the Schwarzkopf documentary. And I had such a good time with that. And I met some Ace members when I was doing the convention center, when they had the Florida convention, IAPA. And I connected.
You're talking about the Schwarzkopf screening that we did at
the screening,
Yes.
Nice.
That night, met a number of Ace members with me. That was great.
Yeah. And I had a good time. It was so fun. Even though there was technical difficulties, I didn't care. I was just connecting with a lot of people that I never met before. So it was really nice to be able to do that.
I'm not sure. I feel like I've heard this once before, but I feel like some people say with Ace, come for the coasters, stay for the people.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's about right.
So it does kind of end up being that way. I mean, coasters brings everyone to the table, but once you start building the community, like we've done with the Blusiasts, you really get to know people and you make lifelong friends, and the people become the exciting reason to go out to the parks, is just to see your friends from all around the country and the world again, you know?
Yeah, and I am going to go to SpringCon. That is the goal. So
yeah.
I think we should call you PTO coasters.
I think, you know what? Seriously, I definitely need a name for sure.
PTO coasters. I like it.
I'm here for it.
Mike, how about you, brother? How long have you been an enthusiast? When did you first hear about and join Ace?
Man, you know, I want to say I've been an enthusiast for probably since that day in the early 90s. I would say I was probably very into it, as far as like being, you know, obsessed with roller coasters. I'm on the other side of the field. I'm a coaster rider, so I'm more the coaster enthusiast, like hardcore. I do value the parks when it comes to theming and being a theme park enthusiast. And I love those people that are theme park enthusiasts, because I love how you guys can get so much out of that, as far and the way you guys can just notice the detail in every aspect of, especially like IPs. You guys walk into a location, you're like, oh, that's this and that's this, and things you don't even see in movies that are like identified in books, you know, so that the average naysayer won't even notice at all. So I love seeing that kind of passion. Man, you know, it's
and I asked that like because like a lot of us had the passion for coasters since we were young, but like personally, I didn't even know the word enthusiast. I didn't know clubs existed and all that until maybe 2016. 2016, when I heard about the American Coaster Enthusiasts, and I was like, coaster enthusiasts. Oh, there's clubs of people who love coasters. What?
I feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know when you first like knew what an enthusiast was.
No, I'd say like probably even earlier than that, because I watched the progress. So I'd say probably the trigger for that would be watching the process of I-305 being built and the way it was covered. And so when I mean, like, that's when I found out about specific YouTube channels, started seeing, and YouTube channels had people that are members of specific groups. So like that kind of trigger, that's back in 2008. And that kind of sent the pathway, I guess, as I say, for being enthused and just watching the topping, like watching videos of the topping of I-305 for the Giga Coaster, watching the coverage of like how the media was set up for it. I would say that was probably when I knew, okay, I like roller coasters and I love them, but like there's a whole world out here of people who get an opportunity to go do special things at these parks. And that probably set that off. As it pertains to Ace, because like prior to I-305, I had done road trips before. So I did a Midwest road trip back in 2001 when I went up there and rode Son of Beast and stopped by what was Six Flags, Kentucky Kingdom, like those places. And I really regret not getting the opportunity to go to Geauga Lake during the time, just because it was raining during our road trip at that time. And so I missed Geauga Lake, and that's probably one of my biggest regrets.
Yeah.
And so,
Same.
Even going back then, that's back when you had, paper maps and there was no GPS. You had to get a MapQuest and read directions and just figure it out for all the people, young people listening. There was no, they didn't exist. It's like, just print it out and figure it out, and just go, so.
Yeah, remember a paper map, Mike?
Paper map.
Paper
maps. Yeah. Get the gas station and something to give them to you for free. Yeah, those days.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my dad had an Atlas.
The Atlas.
I remember the Atlas.
The Atlas.
He'd be like, you sit in the back and you tell me how to read. I said, I don't even think at the time, because we were just getting into technology like that. I was like, a map, an Atlas. What is this? What?
He's like, yep, it has all the states in the United States. Just flip to the right page and let's go.
That's
pretty much. He was like, you got it. He was like, you're the navigator. What?
He probably bought that Atlas at Walden Books or Borders.
I was like,
young folks, sorry, we're naming a bunch of stuff you know nothing about.
Look, I didn't know nothing
Borders.
about it either.
I miss Borders.
I know.
So that kind of sparked it, So I just love to be able to travel out and ride different roller coasters. So I did some park hopping, but once the Intimidator 305, which is now a Pantherian, got built, that was kind of what kind of set that off. And I came across Ace. I want to say 2012 is when I came across Ace for one of them. And when it comes to it's like, okay, there's a coaster club here. Okay, just pay this fee and you get invitations to the events. And, I've been very thankful that I've been able to attend a lot of Ace events, and they give me a lot of opportunity as well as far as visibility. Even before I was part of the Coaster's YouTube channel, which didn't even happen until 2017, I'd already been to Ace events and coaster openings. They helped me come to Twisted Timbers Media Day. They announced the coaster, standing in the middle with the other media members on that giant screen on International Street. We got to walk over and go and get a look at the layout of the ride. I was able to participate in the photo shoot they had on Twisted Timbers, which is still to this day has pictures of me around Kings Dominion in the park. So that happened back in 2017. Me on Apple's Apple with a fake family. And
I remember last time I was there seeing. I was like, "Wow, Mike is still in these marketing materials around the park." I think we came out of the bathroom.
I love that.
And we were like, "Oh, look at Mike sitting next to the toilet here." Is Mike and our buddy Pete Sheeler?
It's a picture of me. Yeah, we had sign away a little disclosure for that too, which is crazy. But we got to ride Twisted Timbers. I think that day we got to ride it 49 or 50 times, and then they kept swapping the models in. So they would have the models, the attractive people that are going to drive the people involved, and the enthusiasts are in the back. Then they try to mix it in a little bit, but I got to ride Timbers 40, 49 or 50 times that day. Wow. Sadly, I also got an opportunity to ride Apple's Apple about 30 times that day as well. Because we were portraying the fake family that I had. It's like, this is your wife and these are your kids. I'm like, wow, I got a family. So that was cool. And I even met Elizabeth Ringas. She was a representative in this area where I met here. I'm in the Midwest, and before she got voted in for the higher level now. But I got to go to. I've attended the. I went to the media day for Firebird when they converted Apocalypse to a sit-down coaster. Went to the AC event there, and also part of that media day as well too with the photo shoot. And that's why you see me still on the billboards in the back row with some of the coaster deeds. They've allowed me to actually meet people. I met the park director of operations, Dave, at that day at the park as well. I had seen him before at the park before, and then he recognized me, and then got to the media day, and then after that, when you meet specific people and you get ties in, and then you connect with one person to another. And that's how it kind of expanded out. But I've been lucky, man. I've been to Ace events in Carowinds, Dollywood, Great Adventure, KD, Busch Gardens, where else Hershey Park. I've been thankful to go to a lot. And so it's a great organization, and they just give so many people an opportunity, and it just grows, and it's just so large, and you don't really realize how large it is until you realize all the reasons that are involved. I'm like, man, I'm out here going on these parks and doing these events, and Duwena, that was I was using PTO or what I had to call I had to call CO, which is call outs. But man, it's kind of been like an honor, that they gave me an opportunity to get visibility for market campaigns, and I'm plastered all over a lot of media stuff just from going to two separate photo shoots that still resonates today, and that was 8 years ago. But I've been thankful to go to every single coaster opening as well too. Just being part of that, and you guys mentioned the SpringCon, so yeah, it's been great. And as far as to go to events, and every single event's been awesome. There hasn't been a single problem or a hiccup or anything like that. And if there are, they're very good with communication. I've also met a lot of people there through this. And while I would say this didn't trigger the Blusiasts, but it kind of put the plan in motion where I was like, okay, well, we've got a group of people that can get together and do this kind of here. And there's diversity in ACE, of course, as well, too, but there still isn't a whole lot of people that are Black that are going to parks. And listen, what if I can just find some more people that look like this? And then, we'll discuss that later on, but and that kind of give the initiative. And I want to thank ACE for that, as far as saying, okay, there's coaster clubs out here in groups, and people go to parks and they have fun and enjoy themselves. It's how amazing is this?
I believe that ACE now has it's either 7,000 or 8,000 members worldwide. So yeah, it is not only the oldest, but the largest coaster enthusiast organization in the world. So very impressive. Alan, what about you, brother?
I know, my mom and I, with our petty little thing, we've always kind of been enthusiasts with each other. Didn't really know about the bigger world. Probably, I would say, 2018, 2019, maybe 2017, because into YouTube's, I'm seeing videos and realizing that, hey, there's people out here that are enthusiasts, and they get to go enjoy going to a park for kind of no reason. I think with ACE, I remember seeing the video on YouTube, the Legacy of Era, that kind of got me down the ACE rabbit hole, and then I joined ACE. From there, I went to a couple other events that they have out here on the West Coast, but also coaster openings as well. So I know SeaWorld San Diego, I went to the media days for Arctic Rescue and Emperor as well as Magic Mountain's Wonder Woman. So ACE got me the opportunity to go ahead and go to the media days and just connect with a bunch of people as well, which is a lot of fun too. And
if I'm not mistaken, then you became a contributor to ACE and held a position in ACE, isn't that right?
Oh yeah, I did for a bit before my job kind of took me away from that. So hopefully after retiring from the military, I could go back and contribute more to ACE, because I really do like the mission statement as well, and kind of just information is kind of the key to the future. So being out there to contribute in the social media space, or just in just content to get it out to as many eyes as possible. So people, they know about ACE, they know what it's about, that it's not just about people who only love coasters. It's people who they want to get together and help each other out, plus people who enjoy theme parks as well too. And kind of it's that segue of life, that the intersection of everything coming together. Mm-hmm. As well too. And I think that's probably the best thing about being an enthusiast, is that we all have a common denominator, but we each have our own stories as well too. And then you realize that a lot of people, they want to help each other out and help people succeed, and just get different viewpoints. Because even here, we got electrical engineers, we got we got people who work in the parks, we have a set of movie producers, and people in the military. So we all have a different vantage point, and we can come together and make each other better, and make this passion that we all have better as well too.
I joined ACE in maybe 2016, and I've been to a number of events, but I was always one of two, usually maybe three if you were lucky, people of color. Sometimes at an event with 100 or more people, and I just look around and I'm like, I know there are more Black people who love these parks and love these coasters like I do. I just wish they would come to these events, or I'd find some way to meet them and help promote them. Maybe they don't know about ACE. Maybe they don't know about these events. Maybe they don't know about coaster enthusiasm. So, Mike, why don't you talk about how you were the founder of this community, the Blusiasts?
I want to say what really started this off was I visited Kings Island, and I got to meet I used to watch Rob Rides on YouTube. He was the only Black content creator that I knew about. And he's great sense of humor, awesome videos. He used to do some really cool stuff. And I actually went over Georgia. I got to hang out with him. And that's back in like 2017. We made a funny little video. I would try to find this. I can't find it. We made a funny little video and a story. Like me and him rode Goliath together. And then I looked at the camera and I was like, there's 2 Black enthusiasts here. We exist. There's 2. If you look at this, I'm like, you may not see this again. I look around like, you may not see this again. 2 Black people that actually love roller coasters are in the same video together. Or they rode the same coaster together. And we kind of like, and me and him had a good spot because he's an attendee of an HBCU while he was down in the Atlanta area. And me and him spoke about that. Like I said, I don't know any other Black content creators on YouTube. I talked about how much I love his videos. At the time I was just kind of getting started with El Toro Ryan, and then he was just, he was kind of remembering the same thoughts. So it's kind of good to kind of see a presence out there of others, bringing some visibility. And we also met, this is 2020. The specific date is September 7th, 2020. We're at Kings Island. Darion, Mr. King Coaster. He's at the park also as well. Me, him, and Rob. And we are at the park together. We rode Banshee. We're in line for Stinger. I looked at them and I was like, this is pretty cool. I was like, we got 3 enthusiasts all here together. Like, and I mean, like real and, passionate people. So Duwena, yes, you are an enthusiast, despite what you want to say. You are an enthusiast. So like anybody that has any kind of passion for this industry is an enthusiast. And so, we're standing there and I looked at them. I was like, wouldn't it be nice if we can just get if we could just reach out? It's like, you're from California, you're from Georgia, I'm from Virginia. And we're here in Mason, Ohio. I was like, what if we can just get 10 people that look like us to come to a park together? And said maybe that can bring more awareness to what this community has. Because as you mentioned, Gooch, anytime I went on an event, anytime I go to parks, or anytime I go hang out anywhere up prior to that date, I was always the only one. If I went to like an ACE group or a meetup or even a coaster club meetup, there might be 2. And it's a I don't know, at part of that time, I didn't know if people didn't like it or if it was like, if it was frowned upon or was like, it's not the thing to do. But where we've taken this now, it's been incredible. And so we set to have a meeting, to have a meetup, and it got derailed a little bit here by COVID. Like we had COVID and COVID was and so like after COVID, we started to work on this meetup. And that's when I started reaching out to like all, the influencers and back channels, messaging you guys out and sending DMs saying, hey, we're having this meetup on this particular day. Where, it was actually Julius who came up with the actual date. He said we should, because we were trying to figure what date we should do it on. He came up with the term of, he's like, we should do it on Juneteenth. I was like, that's perfect. And I think Juneteenth at the time had just became a national holiday. Mm-hmm. And so we're like, what a good way to celebrate Black culture by having this meetup around this holiday weekend time. And so we did. And we originally had it set for Carowinds. The people voted for King's Dominion at the time because they wanted to get credits, showing our true enthusiast passion. Mm-hmm. They're like, well, Toonville's opening and Pantheon's opening. So like, we should probably get 2 birds in one stone if we can just knock this out in one go. It's like, not a bad idea. So we actually changed the location to King's Dominion. Came out there and got to meet Alan. Got to meet Alan for the first time. Got to see you, Gooch. No, it wasn't the first time I actually met you, Gooch. I've seen you at HoliWood Nights before, but we never had like an informal like kind of like hang outside of me, but we've come across each other before. Yep. And so
prior to Blusiasts, same thing. You were just one of those few faces that I would occasionally see. I'm like, yeah, I've seen that one guy at HoliWood Nights. He's really passionate about Voyage.
Very true. And that's how I kind of started. So, then you walked in. I think it was Dewey that walked in with a jersey on that had the term Blusiasts on there. And you're the one. So Gooch is the one actually coined the phrase Blusiasts because, we were calling it the Black Coaster Enthusiast Meetup, and then you coined the frame Blusiasts. So that's where that name came from.
So just keep it simple. If we're Black Coaster Enthusiasts, are we Blusiasts? Yeah. And I said it half jokingly because I thought people would be like, okay, thanks, cornball. But no, shocking. I loved it because like so many people were like, yes, I like that. Blusiasts. We're Blusiasts. Yeah. Yeah. And
it came out very well. We had 29 or 28 the first time, the first actual ever meetup. And we had on that Saturday, Kings of Man, Park did a good job. We credit hunted like enthusiasts do. Everybody got all the credits. We got to get last ride of the day on an I-305. The park worked with us there as well too. They kind of held us in line like, hey, we'll say the last train for you guys. Yeah. They were very nice and accommodating at Kings Domain, so we got to send it off, and I got to meet a whole bunch of other Black enthusiasts. And that was a day where that was the first time I've ever hung out at a park with like more than like 3 other coaster enthusiasts who just happened to be Black. Mm-hmm. Something I never told you actually before, but like we were riding the drop tower before we were heading over to do last ride over at Intimidator. I kind of took a step back and I just kind of looked, and it was because it was just like a group of people just kind of walking on. It was kind of, I'm not even like a sentimental kind of guy, but it was kind of emotional. I just kind of stepped back and I just looked, and I was just kind of like in awe. I was like, wow, look at this. We're responsible for having the first ever meetup of Black coaster enthusiasts, and it happened on that Saturday. Juneteenth was on that Monday, but it happened that Saturday, and then we could proceed to have a good day at Busch Gardens Williamsburg as well. But everybody came in, man. We have enthusiasts coming in from all over the country, man. Everybody kind of came in. It was great, and no drama, no issues, and it's been great ever since. And and it's grown. It's almost like doubled or tripled like every year. We went to Georgia the following year, and over Georgia and Fun Spot Atlanta, and we had 60 plus. And then this past year at Rodeo, we had 119. And so, as we head into this year here, we're going to have our meetup on June 19th at Busch Gardens, Tampa. Looking like we're going to have June 21st. Yeah,
Saturday, June 21st.
Saturday, June 21st, correct. At Busch Gardens, Tampa. And it's looking like we're going to have even more than that. And the secret's out. It's a beautiful thing because it's Black History Month. The whole point of me creating this and kind of putting this together was to bring visibility, to have situations like this, podcasts like this, to meet someone like James, meet someone like Duwena, someone like you and Alan and his wonderful weather in California. It gave us an opportunity to kind of just, meet these different and people, and not only just Black, they're just talented individuals, and everybody has their own passion, and then everything's different, like no one should like anything the same. And then you realize that everybody's got a passion for this, and it's just incredible just to kind of see what it's grown. And more importantly, like the family atmosphere is created. The mission statement by the Blusiasts is basically building a family culture of diversity, and that's exactly what we aim to do. And I'm proud to say that we're very thankful to be in a position now where social media has helped out to bring more visibility. And I think there's a lot of people out here that are recognizing, or enthusiasts who were Black that didn't know about others are coming out, and they have their own platforms, and they're being celebrated as they should. And it makes me smile every day. I couldn't be more proud and very thankful for all you on here for contributing to that and continuing to grow this brand. It's been amazing.
Yeah,
I thank you.
You set the train rolling, Mike, and now people just keep hopping off for a ride. And they're excited. I mean, like you said, we keep hearing that story of people who they thought they were kind of alone or unique. Like, I don't think anyone else who looks like me really does this. So I'll just quietly do it by myself. Right.
Yep. Pretty much.
It's like you started the ball rolling and people started finding each other. I keep hearing that word. People are like, how did it take us this long to find each other? Like,
right.
It was like the best kept secret.
It was.
Yeah, absolutely. James, you were telling me a story the other day. You had some very touching comments about the Blusiast community. And so tell me what it means to you to be a Blusiast.
You know, you kind of grow up and you think that you're kind of abnormal for having your love for a machine, basically. But when I was younger, I always thought of roller coasters as art because I have an art background. And I always see, especially when you look at roller coasters like Raptor, for instance, and how beautifully, like the color scheme and the structural engineering that goes behind it. I always looked at things like that. And I always wanted a friend to be able to appreciate that with me. And, you know, I had friends who would do rides here and there, but I never had any Black friends that I could share that joy with. So it's kind of crazy that it took until I was 35 to do, you know, my first roller coaster with someone other than my extended family that was the same state as me. You know, and it's just a group of people that I just didn't know existed. So after my first event with, it was HoliWood Nights. And that was when I first met Gooch and Jimmy and everybody. And that's when I knew, I was like, oh, this is going to be a tight bond here. This is going to be my next family. And ever since then, I was totally down to doing anything related to a Blusiast event. So that's why I just look at you guys as a second family, because I never had that growing up. And, you know, I had my parents, you know, they're bosses, you know, when it comes to that, but it's something different when it comes to seeing 90% of a group where they all look like me and we're all nerdy just like us, and we can all appreciate the beauty of a roller coaster and all the hard work that goes into it. So yeah, that's why I love that I'm a part of such an amazing group, even though it's small, but it is growing, like you said. So that's important. We got to keep it going and know the vision, and where it's all like love. Everybody genuinely comes together and we have the best time. And
the best.
It's hard to find that when you know, have big groups of Black people that, you know, it's not just going to the club or something, and it's not just going to something that I don't really do no more. So it's nice to be able to, and that's the thing that we can all agree on, is that when you go to theme parks, everybody's having a good time. And that's just on period. You know, it's nothing. It's just nothing different. No one can have a bad time going to a theme park unless you bring that with you. Once you hit those park gates, everything changes. You know, I become a child again. Mm-hmm. I get all giddy. Those endorphins hit me, and I'm older. So the fact that I can still feel that way when I go into a theme park, even when I go by myself, that keeps me young. But I really do appreciate the Blusiasts and AC and a lot of the other groups out there that continue to keep growing, even though they're small, but they're going to keep growing, because a lot of people, the awareness is out there. There's people out there that feel the same way that they do.
Well, I always tell people to, you know, look at their history, examine their history, especially when it comes to Black Americans. And it's kind of no secret to me, like, why we may have been some of the few or felt like we were alone. I mean, because my parents were in college in the 60s when they were still fighting for their civil rights. When people were not allowed to be in places where white people were.
Facts.
And, you know, all of the way America was built, you know, socioeconomically, that this kind of crippled our people. And most people just didn't have the resources to have these kind of things, to go on these vacations. I mean, these aren't essentials. Like I said, this is our passion. This is our fun. And all of us said we were blessed, you know, to have families who were even able to take us on a vacation, right? Because some of the people I knew, I'd go back to school, definitely tell them I went to a park, and they're like, "You went to an amusement park in California?"
Yeah.
Exactly.
I grew up in Delaware, and they're like, "Wow, okay, well, my parents haven't taken me there." And like I said, I understand that. That's all part of the Black American experience.
It's very true.
Right.
Just imagine going to school and they're like, "You went to Disney again?"
Yeah, that was me.
Right.
Like, oh, my bad.
My bad.
Like, I didn't know.
You're like, listen, I work hard to earn this PTO so that I can go to Disney and Universal.
No, I mean, but even as a kid, though, like saying that, coming into school, and they're like, you get to go to Disney, or I mean, some people didn't even go to Cedar Point, like over the summer or anything like that, which is, and that's not far. And so I always feel very grateful about those opportunities, and my parents listening to me being like, okay, well, you know, you're doing great. Let's go ahead and get you to where you want to be at over the summer, or let's take this trip to do what you enjoy to do.
Yeah, I know for my family, especially, that going to Disney that's your straight A, straight B, straight B's and all of that. So if you got really good grades, that was going your to treat. Disney. And at the time, you know, back in the 90s, Disney wasn't as expensive as it is now. So it was actually pretty affordable to go. And then Fast Passes came, and woof, that changed the game. So
it sure did.
But that's how we kept our good grades, was to be able to go to Disney and Universal. And we've been going to Disney and Universal since 1993. So
wow.
Yeah, that's always been our thing.
I'll say even down here with Disney, you know, right down the street too, it was still a rarity. And so people, they were always telling me, like, you went to Disney again. So and that's what I mean. And this was because, and I know growing up, I used to have a Disney annual pass too. So I'm very thankful, you know, for my parents for, you know, affording me the opportunity to experience that as well too. But I do know it was also like, it's also a rarity. And
it's very rare.
The stuff that Gooch touched on earlier too, that it's, even though it was cheaper in the 90s, I think, comparatively so, their prices are in line with inflation too. So it's about, so I think it was actually more expensive then than it was now. If you adjust for inflation. So, cause I
definitely agree with you.
Cause I know a lot of friends out here, they've never been to Disney because it was always out of their price range.
Right. Because I know my first trip, just like Gooch, you were like, yeah, because I got this PTO and I'm making this money. My very first trip going back to Disney as an adult and paying for it out of my own pocket, I called my parents right away. I said, oh, you guys are rich.
Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad. I didn't know it cost as much.
I really didn't. I truly did not understand the price tag of it, but they were just like, dude, you were always in school getting good grades. You stayed on top of your stuff. So they were like, it was all worth it, whatever the case may be. But boy, oh boy, the thank yous over the years of just doing stuff out of my own pocket and knowing how hard they had to work to get those things for me. I was truly blessed. I love them for it immensely. Because sometimes, like a lot of our parents, I don't know about you guys, but a lot of them didn't get to experience some of the things that we have been privileged to you know, experience over these last couple of years.
Absolutely.
So the times are changing, and they fought and paved the way for that.
That's like how close it, like I said, my own parents were in college when they didn't even have rights, you know, and so it's like,
exactly,
we're not that far removed from that culture. So it's, things have definitely obviously gotten better, but you know, racism, stereotypes, all those things still exist. We still fight against it. We're still fighting to be seen and heard, which is, again, why I'm grateful to be able to host this podcast with you all today. Why I'm grateful for Myke for starting to find the people and bring them together and give us the opportunity to know one another and spread the word. And we're grateful for all of our supporters as well, who are not Black, who do recognize what we're doing and the importance of it, and who want to come out and support us. Thank you. Shout out to all of you. I've had some white enthusiasts ask me, they say, yeah, I saw something online about the Blusiasts, but I thought maybe it was an exclusive thing that I couldn't be involved. And I was like, absolutely not. We didn't start this thing to be exclusive at all.
Not at all.
We want you there. We want you to support, to come out and show that you have a love for diversity and that you can appreciate and see other people from different backgrounds. And you'll see what an incredible time that you have, you know?
Exactly. Because the Blusiasts is a great time. I have enjoyed every single thing I've been able to do with this community, with this group. I can't even recall how I found out about the Blusiasts. I truly do not remember fully. But I do know
HoliWood Nights. Did you know before we all kind of met at HoliWood Nights last year? Or
I don't believe so. I believe it might have been due to HoliWood Nights that all of that took off, and me just speaking to everybody there and seeing things. Like I do know of other, people of color, other coaster groups and things like that. However, and I've been involved with them as well. However, since meeting you guys, it's more my vibe. It's more my speed. It feels like home. So I'm really appreciative of just, how do I say? I just love it. I don't know how else to describe this. It was just such a raw emotion meeting you guys. And like just seeing that, like James said, there's other nerdy people out there that's enjoying it the way that I'm enjoying it. And even looking at you guys enjoy it, it brings me joy. I'm like, oh, my people, this is all I've ever wanted. But
it's the best way for conversation too. The best way for conversation, you talk to them, say, what's your top 5? That is the best way to get things started. I've always noticed that.
Yeah.
Since you brought up top 5, Mr. James, what is your top 5? If we have a little time for that,
Wait, we got time for that?
Yeah. Do we have time?
Go right ahead, James. What is?
Wait, hold on.
He's like, hold on. I didn't think about it.
It's in my book.
We don't need an official list. She just wants to. What are some of your favorites?
A little razzle dazzle.
Yeah. What are some of your favorites?
I know. How about number 1 is definitely Steel Vengeance. I know that.
Okay.
And then I think number 2 is Fury.
Okay.
Fury for 325, and then VelociCoaster. Okay. And then the Voyage. Mm-hmm. And then Intimidator 305. That's what I got.
Okay. I see that. Even though, as I say, I'm not a enthusiast, I also have a top 5.
What do you like?
You guys kind of made me get into counting my credits and seeing what I really do like or don't like. During August, during the Blusiest meetup in August, I met my 200 by riding Steel Vengeance. So you guys were there for that.
I didn't even know you hit a milestone that day. So I
hit a milestone that day.
We had an official event at Cedar Point in August this past year. And of course, like Duwena said, she's like, if y'all are rolling, I'm going to try and be there.
Oh, I was there for that.
Yes, you were.
I was there for that. Yes.
She said, if you guys are rolling, I'm PTOing.
I think I might have even talked to Gooch for a moment. I talked to a few people, maybe even Bree, and I'm like, are y'all going? Who's showing up? I want to see who's coming. And I was like, you know what?
Who all gonna be there?
Right. And I forever ask these questions, like who's all going to be there? Mm-hmm. But I definitely got my 200 credit on Steel Vengeance, and that was absolutely amazing. Even though Steel Vengeance is not my number 1. Due to going out to Japan, Flying Dinosaur is my number 1.
I did not see that comment, Ashley.
Flying Dinosaur is my number 1. Nice. As a matter of fact, it could just be the top 5 for all I care.
Because it was everything.
It was everything. The elements on that bad boy. So I know people have rode Manta at SeaWorld Orlando, and for a flying roller coaster, you know that pretzel loop hits good every single time. Just imagine a pretzel loop hitting twice. Okay, what are you saying? What do you?
And in different ways too.
Whew, I was in shock. Okay, I can't talk more highly of that B&M flyer right there. And then I got a back row ride on it. And just when I thought it couldn't get better, it got better.
Wow. Got that nice.
It was nasty work.
Oh man.
You guys should see Mike was fist pumping when he said that. Like, yes.
Yeah.
Because we have a trip planned to Japan this summer.
Yeah.
We're coming right off of your heels. That's why I was excited to see when you were there.
I might show up.
We started.
She might show up.
Hey,
she's PTO.
She might.
You never know.
See, I reached out to Duwena and was asking about her trip and tips and that stuff. So I was like, hey, what's some tips you can kind of give? And she was talking about so excitedly about the food, the atmosphere, some of the parks. She had mentioned earlier how she wished she could have done more stuff for the culture, something that we kind of, something that Gooch would have built into the trip. And but like your reaction to this, as evident by the shirt you have on, lets me know that it's going to be a great time when we go.
It's going to be absolutely amazing. And as far as theme park food is concerned, USJ, Universal Japan, has the best theme park food I think I've ever had. Like, nice. Ever. It's delicious. I was like, what? This is crazy.
Well, we're there for a day and a half, so we'll have.
Oh, you're going to have a good time
to enjoy it. Yeah, and really, it's more like a day and 2/3. I think their half day pass gives you access from like noon.
We did a half day pass, and then full day the next day.
Yeah, so you did the same thing. And it was
A1 sauce. Highly recommend. But Flying Dinosaur, it could be top 5, but definitely number 1. Number 2, I'm going to say VelociCoaster.
Okay.
Okay.
Number 3, I feel like I have a tie going on with Steve and Voyage, but now that I'm thinking about it, we're just going to erase all of that, and we're going to put at number 3 ArieForce 1.
Shout out to the Atlanta hometown hero, the best coaster in Georgia area. Yeah,
we're going to put that like that. And then number 5, well, is that 5, 4? Where are we? I don't know.
You're a 4. Okay, that was 3. All right, so you can push Steve. You said Steve and Voyage. So is that time for 4? Maybe that's the.
Yeah, we could give Voyage 4. We could give Voyage 4 and Steve 5.
Okay.
Because those night rides for HoliWood Nights on Voyage, baby, those go. Those
That's
are
it.
yeah.
I think that can lead into Mike's favorite coasters because I think you just named one. But Mike, why don't you tell us what some of your top coasters are?
2 through 5 can kind of go in any order for me. Number one is going to be the Voyage, and then there's a gap. For me, it's like especially when you mention the night rides. I'll be attending my 7th consecutive HoliWood Nights. I don't foresee that I'm ever going to miss the opportunity to ride Voyage at its absolute peak, which is the trimless night rides with a bunch of enthusiasts. And by the way, we last year got to do a Blusiasts train takeover, which was awesome, by the way.
Yeah.
And I love that. And in the Blusiasts pictures 2 years ago, it was just beautiful time. The other 4, in no particular order, we're going to have Iron Gwazi. We're going to have I-305. We're going to have what else I got there? I got El Toro, and then and sadly, one coaster has left the top 5. It used to be Sky Rush until the update, and it's no longer in my top 5, which means something had to get bumped up, and that bump up happened to be what used to be in the number 6 spot, which was VelociCoaster. So
okay.
It's hard to get in my top 5. I put it to you like that. When I rode Iron Gwazi for the first time, they had media day, and I went down and rode like a week later. And when I say that coaster's temperament is moody, as I call it, like the morning rides and the night rides are not the same ride, not the same roller coaster. Sure, it's not the same coaster. Like you have to, like it is not the same ride. So if you're judging Gwazi listening to this on your morning ride, and you didn't go back to ride like in the afternoon and nighttime, you need to go back to ride Gwazi because it is one of the most moody roller coasters that exists. It is a different coaster in the evening time. Mm-hmm. But
that's
Gwazi was the first. It is moody. It is the only coaster that has cracked my top 5. In like 6 or 7 years.
Wow.
Like it's hard to get in there. Yeah, I rode Voyage for the first time HoliWood Nights back in 2017, and then on the way home, I knew I had a new number 1, but I couldn't figure out what it was. But I knew I knew then at that moment, I was like, something is better than El Toro, because El Toro was number 2 at the time. I was like, something has surpassed El Toro, and I couldn't believe it. How incredible that ride was. And while it's not on my top 5, can I'm going to say something here that some might not like, but after riding Legend this past season, it has moved into the top 25, and it has kicked out Fury in the top 15.
Oh,
that's nasty.
Dang.
That's big. And I vouch that, having gone to HoliWood Nights many years, that, man, this past year, the condition of Legend was incredible. Better than ever. Best rides I've ever had.
That version of Legend currently, it's not even like 15, it's like 11. So like that version of Legend that's currently operating, that's legit. Yeah. That's a legit roller coaster right there.
All right, Alan, what about you, man? Tell us some of what's your top coasters?
So I'll say Iron Gwazi X2 Voyage, or 1, 2, and 3, probably in any order, depending on what you want to put. Number 4 is probably Fury. So Fury 325 is number 4. It's dynamic enough, but it's something that everyone could ride. I wish that fixed trim brake, I just wish they got rid of it, because I know why it's there, but I wish they got rid of it, because that helix, if it hits too hard, the helix is just bad. So, and that's another moody ride as well too. If you ride Fury in the morning, after that, it's very, very temperamental. I think more so than Iron Gwazi. And then. Okay. Yeah. Well, because Fury is built on speed, and then when it doesn't have its speed, and then the second half you feel it slowing down, and then so when it's already going slow, and then that fixed trim brake is fixed. So then you're like, oh, are we gonna make it over this airtime hill, and are we gonna make it through this helix? And you're like, oh gosh. And then number 5 also rose for me, just because I told you guys I had some really, really great rides on it in the rain, probably because I was with my dad too. VelociCoaster. Nice. So it was probably another one, the most fun I've had on a coaster in quite some time, because my dad and I, we were back row of VelociCoaster, and it just started raining. So, and when you're in the back in the first launch track, if you're in the very, very back row, you're not covered. So then it just started raining on us. And we're like, is it raining? And we're like, oh yeah, it's raining. And we went out too, and we were laughing the whole time. So
I love that.
I have a very strong feeling when Stardust Racers opens up, I think everybody's top 10 is going to be rearranged. I have a feeling.
Oh, I think it has the potential.
It's a long ride. It's got airtime everywhere. Mm. I have a feeling I think it's going to be a game changer. It's going to be another one to watch out for.
Couldn't agree with you more. And having spoken to someone who has ridden Stardust over like 50 times already, and had conversations with this person, they have it as the best roller coaster in the state of Florida.
Excuse me?
And I 100% believe that. I 100% believe it, especially that back row. I think the back row is going to get everybody to rethink their life.
So,
okay?
From what I heard, they said it's like Mako and VelociCoaster had a baby.
What?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm assuming it would be like.
Well, that's...
And once again, I'm going to be just standing in line looking at y'all, because I'm going to be like, what? I don't want to do that.
Oh, you're going to do it.
But you're going to do it.
You're going to do it. Oh, I totally believe that, James, because, in my top 5, I've got Zadra VelociCoaster, Voltron Nevera at Euro.
Oh, yeah.
Jealousy.
Spicy.
The Voyage and the Ride to Happiness. So 2 of my top 3 are mock coasters. We've talked about this a lot with my friends. I've told them, like, man, I know they're not in the US. It's hard to get to, but these thrill coasters that Mock is designed, when they have the space and the platform and the money, this company can do some really special things. And we know that Universal gave them the space, the time, and the money. So I have high expectations for Stardust Racers. I think that can be a fantastic ride.
Hey, Mock, I just want to say, if Mock is listening to this, my home park, Kings of Maine's got 22.5 acres next to Chrisley.
There you go.
Just anything you want to do over there. Anything you want to do over there. We got space for any concept and idea. Don't know what the budget's going to be. But if you
go wild,
freedom, just
right,
do your
have
thing.
time.
Do you think a hyper over there would be absolutely incredible by Mock? Any mall you want to go with, we will fully accept that at Kings of Maine, because there's no Mocks at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. So
even if it's a Ride of Happiness clone, I think we'd all be happy.
Oh yeah,
I mean, yeah.
They can clone that as many times as they want. I will.
That's what I'm saying.
I need to get that.
That is a mind-blowing ride. I was very special to get to ride that. Not only on my first trip to Europe, I planned my own little solo trip, went to Europe, got to do it, came back, started singing the praises, and immediately my crew from GP Coasters, Jimmy, Dewey, and they were like, "We've got to go." Mm-hmm. So as soon as we had a Europe trip planned, they were like, "No matter what, we have to go by Plopsaland to see what this is all about." And at the end of that day, they left that park saying, "That's my new number 1 as well."
Oh, yeah.
So it's a special ride. It's not everyone's number 1. I've talked to some people who are like, it's not my favorite. It's more like number 10 or something like that. But no matter what, it is an elite, very special experience.
Yeah. And then Voltron opened, and they got their whole list reworked too with Voltron. So
Voltron was so impressive. I was very lucky to be able to ride that on the 6th operating day. Didn't have that planned. It wasn't in the cards when 2024 began. But thanks to community, I have a friend who's a coaster enthusiast who was in the UK. He told me he was going to do a little Spain trip, and I looked just randomly and found the cheapest flight I'd ever seen, round trip to Barcelona. I was like, "What? I think I'm coming." But I did that.
I love that.
And then added on an extra few days to go to Germany. So I went back to Europa for my second visit and got to ride Voltron Nevera, and literally spent that almost the entire day, like from opening. I got off a plane, rented a car, drove to Europa, was there right around opening, and went into that plaza. And at a certain point, I think I'd been in the plaza for like 6 hours, had maybe ridden 6 or 7 times. And I was like, I haven't even had a drink of water today.
Sometimes it be like that, though.
Right? I was like, I'm a little bit thirsty right now. Maybe I should at least just stop for a minute and like get a drink, rehydrate. So I did, and then went back and rode a couple more times and got like one Wodan ride before I left the park. But like I literally just spent the whole day pretty much riding Voltron and just immersing myself in that experience. It's a pretty amazing coaster, even without the theming. I don't know, that was Mike, your question. As soon as I came back, you're like,
"Yep."
You're like, is it just because of the theming and the experience, or is it an awesome coaster? I was like, no, I think if you put this in a parking lot, the coaster would be impressive because it just does things that others don't. It's a full, as I call it, a full buffet of coaster elements, from the different launches and the hang time moments and the airtime, this ejector and the twists and turns. And it's an awesome coaster. But then, yes, on top of that, an incredible immersive theme from the time that you get into the queue and even throughout the coaster ride. So, shout out to Mock Rides. We'd love to see more of them in America. We'd love to see some more of Vacomas.
I think Europe does theming different because my mom said the same thing about Fly.
Your mom's ridden Fly. Oh,
yeah, but
your mom is too cool.
This is like his mom.
She's really cool, man.
No, and I'm like, I want to ride. She's like, and then she said, oh, she's like, we have fly. She's like, we got fly at home. She's talking about Tatsu. I'm like, I hate you.
That's right. You're like, not quite the same, Mom. Not quite the same. Well, guys, we could probably talk all day, but I think we should probably wrap it up. So is there anything else that you guys would like to say? You guys want to tell everyone where they can find you on social medias? Airtime Myke?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at airtime _MYKE. That's Mike with the Y on Instagram. You can find us at the Blusiasts. That's THE Blusiasts, BLUSIAST. And we're on a Facebook chat as well, too. So definitely check out those links out there. So if anyone that wants to be a part of that community and enjoy it, absolutely take a look at the Blusiasts.
Alan, where can the people find you?
The people can find me on Instagram at Almighty Coasters. Also YouTube on Almighty Coasters. I'm actually coming out of my social media exile, so I have not been posting at all lately. But I'm posting today, and I'm gonna try to keep it going because hopefully work is slowing down. And I'm also involved, as Mike said, in the Blusiast chats and various platforms as well too. So you can catch some of my content over there.
James, how about you? Where can the people find you?
Just two spots. I got my Instagram, which is james.l.mason.1, and then my Facebook, which is James Leonard Mason. It's the best way to find me.
James Leonard Mason. How about you, Duwena?
I don't ever post anything, but you can find me my personal page, Dinawee, DENAWEE. That's for Instagram. And then on TikTok and on Instagram, when I claimed I was going to create things that I don't create, we Side Quest Queen at both TikTok and Instagram. And that's WEE Side Quest Queen. Because I'm always on a side quest somewhere.
You forgot one.
Wait, what did I forget?
At PTO Coasters.
PTO. Man, I'm really tempted. To be honest.
She's like, Alan, if I did actually create something, then maybe that's the name I would choose.
No, like seriously, and I will definitely hold that to you.
No, you should do it. You should do it right now, and we'll hold each other accountable. I'll start posting. You'll start posting. We got this.
Okay, you know what? Okay, you guys. So you could also find me at PTO Coasters. Okay, now, I really am. I'm going to make that to happen today. Like seriously, and you're going to be like, "What is that?" And
I'm tagging in my first post too. So
bet. I'm serious.
I'm sharing. Let's go. We got this.
I got this. I'm gonna be on it. And just to add like a little quick shout out, because even though this is where, people of color, the Blusiasts and everything, I want to give a special shout out to Women Loves Coasters, which is ran by Zero Re-Roll. They will be having a meetup in June for the rodeo out in Texas. So if you can make that, definitely do that, and find them also on social media.
We love supporting all the coaster groups that have come out, and Zero Re-Roll, aka Brashay Reed, who some of the ACE members know. She's done lots of good things, including helping to set up that screening, James, that you came to for the Schwarzkopf documentary. So Bree's also an ACE member, and yes, she's doing great things to try and get more women out to these events.
Exactly, because there's not many of us.
There you go. So yeah, we support everybody. We're excited to meet everybody and ride with everybody. But on that note, I think we're gonna exit, folks. But it's been awesome talking to you. Love.
Yeah, thanks for bringing us on, Gooch. Hey, thank you. Also, thank you to Gooch. Thank you to Ace for providing this platform, and then all the listeners that are listening to. Appreciate you guys tuning in.
Thank you for once again.
Love you guys. It's amazing. All right. Well, signing off for Ace, folks. I'm Gerik Gooch. Again, obviously, you can always find me on social media as well at my name. That's just Gerik Gooch. That's at Gerik Gooch on Instagram. You can find me Gerik Gooch on Facebook. And as Mike said, follow us at The Blusiast on Instagram and Facebook, and you will see more about our upcoming meetups. And obviously, you can always share fun community posts about coasters. We're looking forward to seeing everybody on Saturday, June 21st at Busch Gardens, Tampa. And stay tuned, like I said, for more information about that meetup, because we always have multiple meetups.
That wraps up this episode. We would love it if you would subscribe and give us 5 stars. If you have any comments for us or ideas for future episodes, please reach out to us at podcast@aceonline.org. And to connect with Ace in more ways, make sure you're following American Coaster Enthusiasts on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Discord. Search for Ride with Ace on all the platforms. And check out ridewithace.com if you're not already a member. Thanks for listening, and I hope you get to ride a coaster today.
Ride With Us is produced by the American Coaster Enthusiasts, a registered 501c3 organization. Visit ridewithace.com for additional information, and we will see you at the parks.